Welcome to my video. If you like traveling and want to spend less, you are in the right place. Do not change the channel. This time the destination is Florence. I will fly to Bologna, from where I will go to Florence. On the way I will note the prices and explain how I got them. I will show everything that I consider useful, which sites to see, where to have lunch, where to have dinner, which hotel to go to, how to get to certain attractions, and I will return home using hole in the system or a trick or an error. I don't know what it is.
Here we go, dig a seat.
Of the food and drinks that are not paid for, I only got water and 2 crackers on this flight, and that was it for the 2 hours of the flight. I was sitting alone, and as far as conformity and ATR is concerned, here you sit somewhat close, and no matter how I adjusted myself, I did not manage to adjust myself to be comfortable. I bought a one-way ticket to Bologna and paid 31 euros. I took a flight to Bologna instead of Florence due to the lower cost. I headed for the exit, but following the signs for buses to other cities. After the exit, there is no longer that sign for buses to other cities, but to the left. To the station with the yellow overhang. I reached this and realized that I was where I needed to be. Here there are combinations for some other cities, but I am interested in this Apennino shuttle to Florence. The bus does not stop at this station where I was standing, but across the road, and when it comes you have to walk to it. The bus is yellow and it says Florence. There's no way to miss it. Our return ticket from Bologna airport to Florence cost 40 euros per person, and I bought it using the Omio app, the link of which I leave in the description. I only had about 10 minutes before departure and quickly bought a ticket. For the return I knew when to return, because I need to be at the airport about 2 hours earlier, so this one at 7:30 didn't suit me. So I took the one that arrives at 5:35. That's when I realized that it's not a problem if I buy a ticket early and I'm late for the bus I wanted, because I can simply go on the next one. There is this number that needs to be called and they would just transfer me to the next bus. The card does not have a QR code, but is shown to the driver from the phone. He reads the booking number, types it in, and that's it. Buses stop either here where this yellow one stops, or there across the street, whichever time. But it's Picciale Montelugo. I decided to call an Uber to the hotel, which cost me 11 euros. Uber also has a pickup point, and I had to walk 5 minutes in that direction. To get into an Uber that took me to the hotel. As soon as I checked into the hotel, I immediately set off on a tour of Florence. I just headed south from my hotel. First left, then right, and all the way until I saw the bridge. This is one of the oldest bridges in the city. One of the most famous bridges in the world and a more recognizable symbol of this city, so I headed directly towards it. There are shops with gold and jewelry right on the bridge, which have existed since the very construction of the bridge. Now, why are they on the bridge? This is so that shop owners can avoid paying taxes in this way. I headed back, then to the right, through this galleria, where you can also take nice pictures of this bridge. But what I was looking for was a restaurant. Considering that I only had 2 crackers for breakfast, it was logical that I should eat something, and where better than at Trattoria Ponte Vecchio. The prices seemed okay to me, so I had lunch here. Maybe they move the tables outside when the weather is nicer or when it's spring or summer. So maybe eating pizza with a view of the bridge. I returned to the main street and took the second right towards Loggia dei Lanzi. Entrance is free. And it is in fact an open-air gallery of Renaissance sculptures. The weather was not good, the rain was coming slowly, and it was wise to take shelter here and look at these sculptures. This is actually located in Piazza della Signorina. And somewhere there is a replica of the sculpture of David. After visiting this square, I headed back again to the main street and came across Republic Square. Around it are taverns plus a traditional merry-go-round. I returned to the main street and headed in the same direction. I came across the main square or the famous Piazza del Duomo. There, of course, is the Florence Cathedral Maria del Fiore. The Franciscan cathedral called Santa Maria del Fiore is the most popular attraction. Like any major tourist attraction, there was a large number of people waiting to get inside. At this point I decided to give up on going any further because it started to rain and that was it for my first day. The next day dawned sunny and I headed back to the Ponte Vecchio. I went right towards the Holy Trinity Bridge. Between these 2 bridges there are taverns where you can sit and have a complete atmosphere and a view of both bridges. I went in the opposite direction to see the Strophe Palace. It is a renaissance of palaces with a permanent exhibition and important temporary art exhibitions. But at the time I came across there was no exhibition, so I couldn't see anything. And I couldn't even find out the prices. Because there was no exhibition. I returned to the Holy Trinity Bridge and just went straight, and at one point on the left I saw this. This is actually a complex of various galleries. And I was interested in Bole Park, where there are Renaissance gardens and fountains. Each gallery is paid separately here. Prices are different in season and out of season. I was interested in Bole Gardens, so I bought a ticket for it. For the Museum of Russian Icons, there is no special ticket and you can enter it with any. The museum houses 78 Russian icons, which were collected sometime in the 18th century and represent the oldest collection in the world outside of Russia. After that, I went to the passage that said Babuli Gardens. The tour requires fitness, as there are a lot of hills and I'm in my prime, so that wasn't a problem for me. It takes about 2 hours here. I stayed that long, see everything. You can go randomly like I did, and you can follow the signs and visit absolutely everything. And at the very top there is a fountain, which was not working at the moment when I was there. I took the same route back towards the Ponte Vecchio, and since the weather was nicer, there were significantly more tourists. Heading back, I spotted a pub I wanted to have lunch at, and below I came across this. It's actually here, and I'm not sure how I missed it the first day. As far as I understand, the muzzle of this wild boar should be rubbed in order to come again in Florence. And then I headed to the sites of Santa Sima. You can come from the upper side or from the lower side. I came from the lower side. It's actually a square that tourists visit, apparently. With the cathedral, which is called Orario di Sebastian. I entered to look around. I got out and headed south in the direction this video shows. For some reason I missed the Leonardo da Vinci Interactive Museum and went to the regular Leonardo da Vinci Museum. The museum is open non-stop, even on Sundays and holidays, and the entrance ticket is €8. And this was the end of my second day of sightseeing. The restaurants where I ate are very close to my hotel. In that direction, first left in the second intersection. And there is a McDonald's. Right across the street is the Subway where I bought sandwiches. And up there in the direction of the Greek flag is the Greek restaurant Ales Greco. On the third and last day, I headed to the stadium. And of course, bus number 17 goes to the stadium. This event, I remember it like it was yesterday. This means that the Fiorentina Stadium is a holly place for me. The station was near my hotel, just uphill and to the left. And the stadium is reached in 9 stations. A single ticket costs €1.50 and can be bought in stores marked tobacco. It is important to verify the ticket in this type of machine. And just go ahead in the direction of the bus movement, and the first right is towards the stadium. The Fiorentina Stadium does not have any tour, nor any museum, nor any combination of sightseeing. There is only the Fiorentina store souvenir shop, and that's about it. Next to the stadium itself is a market. This is actually just a market and has nothing to do with the club. I returned to the station again to return to the city center. I really don't know how I found the station because it is not in the same place as the station where I arrived. Afterward, I headed towards the Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore. This time the line was much smaller, and I decided to enter it to look around. The cathedral is huge. It is just in the center of Florence, as I showed you over 2 days. An interesting piece of information is that this is the tallest building in the whole city and is 114 meters high. It is a combination of Gothic form and Renaissance form because it was built over several centuries. During the tour, I noticed that the tourists were going down somewhere, so I went too. To climb the Bruschelli Tower, it costs an additional €30, 65 euros to visit the entire complex. And then I headed in the direction of the Leonardo da Vinci Interactive Museum. In this museum, you can try some of his inventions. Very interesting indeed, and I have often wondered what this is for. And that was about my third day. I had to go back to the hotel to get my things and slowly get ready to leave. My choice of hotel was Hotel Veneto. It's not complicated. I made a reservation on booking 2 weeks before the trip. In those 2 weeks, the price changed several times. I made a reservation 2 weeks before the trip with the free cancellation option up to 3 days before the trip. The price was changed several times to lower than 120, then 102, and finally 75 euros. Every time the price dropped, I rebooked. And in the end, 4 days before the trip, I canceled those prices that were higher. Note, prices are sometimes lower if booked directly from the app or phone. It says mobile only price here, which confirms it. The view was nothing special because I was looking at the smoking room and the kitchen. There are only 2 sockets for charging electronic devices. I had to use the air conditioner for heating. The toilet is fine. It has everything you need. I got 2 soaps and 2 shampoos. The hair dryer is quite good, and in order for the hair dryer to work, it must be plugged into the socket here. Breakfast was okay, but in my experience and opinion a bit meager. 3 types of juice, a toaster for baking bread, and for coffee, you have to ask the man standing there making coffee. There are 3 types of salami in this metal cover, and that's about it. Across the road I don't know what it is, I personally called it Le Guapo Castle, and it seems interesting. The departure time was slowly approaching. I went to the hotel and collected my things. I should have called an Uber to take me to Piziale Montelugo. However, the price surprised me. Their prices are significantly higher when it comes to the higher demand for these vehicles, and this was during the rush hour. I decided to take the risk with taxi. I turned to the reception and asked them to call me a taxi, which they did. A taxi arrived and took me to the Montelugo, and the price was 9 euros, so significantly less than Uber. At the bus station, I waited for the bus that should leave at 4:15 p.m. and go from here to Airport Bologna directly. The buses are yellow, Apennino Shuttle and Bologna Airport. Just like when I arrived, I just showed the booking number to the driver and got on the bus. According to the timetable, this bus should arrive at 7:35. However, due to the rush hour, I arrived exactly at 8 o'clock, and considering that my flight is at 20 o'clock, I actually arrived right on time. The price for my date was almost 80 euros, and I thought this price was fine. I was ready to pay it. However, I did not buy this ticket. I bought a ticket Bologna-Zurich, but with a transfer in Belgrade which cost 38 euros. I was even so impudent to pay as little as possible that I used my birthday voucher and paid 29 euros. Why is the price from Bologna to Zurich significantly lower than the price directly from Bologna to Belgrade? I really don't know, and I won't go into that, but that's how it is. I just had to convince others and myself that I was actually going to Zurich, not Belgrade. At the time when I arrived at the airport, I didn't know if this was even allowed and if I would have any problems because of it. I said I only had a carry-on with me, which I showed, and they measured. I knew that if I checked the suitcase, it would end up in Zurich and then I would have problems. So I only had a carry-on with me. Also, let's say if the plane is full, then they can insist on checking my bag, which is another danger of skip-lagging. According to this plan, I was supposed to fly from Bologna to Belgrade and then get on another plane going to Zurich. They gave me a ticket only for Belgrade and told me that when we landed in Belgrade, I should contact the transfer desk where they would check me in for Zurich. This actually turned out well because I have to check in for Zurich in Belgrade. I worried about receiving calls at the airport and making people for Zurich late. Since it turned out like this, it's not going to happen. Free shops, or targets as I call them, are immediately after the security control on the left. To the right is the passport control, and immediately to the left after the security control are the free shops. People often ask what is worth buying at the airport. The answer is cosmetics, that is, perfumes. I always look only at those that are on sale, that is, on discount, and I make sure to search how much it costs back home. After passport control, there is one free shop and a couple of cafes, and that's about it. But in this free shop, the prices are exactly the same as before the control. The only thing is that there is a bigger selection. It's not my custom, but here I bought something for myself, which is this Antonio Banderas The Golden Secret perfume. There is no denying the fact that the two of us look a lot alike, and that we are in a similar fashion. Boarding was on time, the flight was on time, landing was on time, and in Belgrade, instead of contacting the transfer desk, I just headed for the exit, got out, and didn't ask anyone anything. So now listen carefully so that there are no misunderstandings. I bought 2 one-way tickets. From Belgrade to Bologna, and from Bologna to Zurich with a transfer. Belgrade, Bologna price range from 100 euros to 28 euros. 3 weeks before the trip for my dates, I put an alert on the Kiwi app. 2 alerts for 2 one-way tickets. Every time the price changed, the app kept me informed. When the price Belgrade, Bologna changed to 31, I thought it was okay and bought the ticket. So only Belgrade to Bologna. The Bologna to Belgrade ticket price stayed fairly constant at around 80 to 100 euros. I thought I would be out of luck. I must have mistakenly typed the letter C or Z or who knows what instead of B, and came across this Bologna-Zurich ticket. I bought that ticket without knowing that I was buying a ticket for Zurich and not for Belgrade. I was thinking of canceling this ticket, and then I saw that it was actually a ticket with a transfer in Belgrade. And then I decided to take a risk and go for this combination. From Bologna airport to Florence, I took the Apennino shuttle, which cost 40 euros. What is all this in total? 100 euros. I've even left you a discount of 10 euros on the trip from Bologna to Florence below. If you are watching this, you can pay 10 euros less for this trip. I was at the Veneto Hotel in the city center, which cost 77 euros, which makes a total of 177 euros. For museums in the Bole Botanical Garden, I spent 24 euros, plus I ate smart. For example, souvlaki cost 6 euros and it's excellent. So this whole trip and this adventure cost about 200 euros. That was my expenses. I hope everything is clear now. If anyone has any questions, although I think everything is clear, ask below. For more useful tips like this and to see more, press subscribe. Thank you for watching.